In 2010, the town of Mount Vernon, Ohio, was known as a peaceful place where wooden houses nestled beneath cool green canopies and crime rates were nearly non-existent. Life there moved slowly and gently, seemingly immune to the tragedies of the outside world. It was in that place that Tina Herrmann, a 41-year-old single mother, was building a simple life filled with love for her two children, 13-year-old Sarah and 11-year-old Cody. Tina was a hard-working, devoted woman. She worked at a local ice cream shop where coworkers liked her for her professionalism and warm personality. Although she was divorced from her ex-husband Larry, the two of them maintained a friendly relationship to co-parent their children and provide them with a loving home. Yet beneath Mount Vernon's calm exterior and Tina's seemingly content life, cracks began to show. Her relationship with her new boyfriend Greg had many problems, and Tina had often considered moving for a fresh start. Fortunately, she had a steady support, Stephanie Sprang, a close neighbor also aged 41 and a mother of 3. Stephanie was always there to share and help Tina through life's difficulties, a beautiful, warm friendship amid life's bustle. On November 10, 2010, something unusual happened. The clock read 4 p.m. But Tina Herrmann didn't show up at the ice cream shop as she always did. Her absence immediately drew attention because Tina was known for being punctual and professional. 2 hours later, the shop manager, feeling uneasy, decided to call the police. Around 7 p.m., a patrol car rolled up in front of Tina's house. The house was silent, empty, the door closed. After knocking for a while with no answer, the officer assumed the family had likely gone out and would return later. A simple, optimistic guess, but one that concealed a tragedy approaching. By the next day, Thursday, November 11, the concern had transformed from a hunch into a terrifying reality. Not only was the Herrmann family still missing, but Tina's close friend Stephanie Sprang had also vanished mysteriously. The school reported that Tina's children, Sarah and Cody, were absent. The situation became more serious than ever. As people tried to piece together disparate events, a call from Tina's manager shattered all conjecture. She had come to Tina's house that morning and discovered that Tina's van was gone. More horrifyingly, through the window she saw a gruesome sight. Pools of blood smeared all over the floor. Police immediately returned to the scene. This time, there was no indifference or casual assumptions. Tina's house had become a horrific tableau, full of signs of a bloody struggle. The bathroom was awash with blood. Bloody footprints scattered across the floor, telling a mute story of a brutal event. Clearly, a serious crime had taken place, and the strangest and most frightening part was that no bodies were found. Police mobilized heavily and expanded the search into nearby woods, hoping to find victims or any clues. But all efforts were in vain. The vast forest swallowed everything in silence. At the scene, amid the chaos, investigators collected several important clues: a pair of rubber gloves, a bottle of bleach, and notably, an Airwalk shoebox found in Sarah's room. The smaller, bloody footprints found in the garage also matched the size of the shoes from that box, kindling a faint hope among investigators. Could Sarah have escaped? The investigation began to center on Tina's boyfriend, Greg. Given their strained relationship, Greg became the prime suspect. However, after verification, he produced a solid alibi, sending the inquiry into a dead end. Police attention then shifted to 2 odd items found in the house: a large waterproof bag and several large trash bags. At the same time, surveillance footage from the nearby Walmart gained their interest. The footage showed a tall young man driving a silver Toyota Yaris purchasing similar bags at the supermarket. A small clue, but a promising one. Thanks to the silver Toyota Yaris footage, police quickly identified their main suspect, 30-year-old Matthew Hoffman. Matthew was not an unfamiliar name to law enforcement. He had a troubled past, having served 6 years in prison for theft and arson. After his release, he lived reclusively, cutting ties with society. Matthew had strange habits, including eating squirrel meat and living most of his time alone in the woods. His ex-girlfriend had also accused him of violent behavior, further strengthening the profile of a dangerous and unpredictable man. 4 days after the mysterious disappearance, police raided Matthew Hoffman's home. He was lying on the couch, completely surprised by the arrival of officers. His house was filled with leaves, a bizarre, eerie scene evoking cold solitude. Though no one was found upstairs, police discovered a hidden door leading down to a basement. When they descended, they encountered a heartbreaking but miraculous sight. Sarah, the 13-year-old girl, was still alive. She was bound by the feet, curled in a blanket, surrounded by dead leaves, a haunting image of brutal confinement. Sarah was freed. Police were immediately redeployed to Tina's house, but this time with a very different attitude. It was no longer an ordinary missing person case, but a scene that might conceal the worst horrors. When investigators entered Tina's home, a chilling, grisly sight met them. Everywhere were signs of a bloody struggle. The floor was stained with dry, blotchy blood like black ink spots on an old cloth. The bathroom in particular was awash with blood, a scene that made even the most seasoned investigators shudder. Small, smeared, bloody footprints led across the floor toward the garage, as if someone had tried to flee in vain. Clearly, a brutal confrontation had taken place, a fight for survival, and yet the strangest and most terrifying fact remained. No bodies had been found. Where had the victims gone? What had happened to them? The home's horrifying silence and violent traces raised a haunting question. Were the Herrmanns still alive? Police mobilized a large force with search dogs, carefully combing every square meter of the dense surrounding forest. Every trail, every bush, every stream was meticulously examined in hopes of finding any trace of Tina, Sarah, Cody, or even Stephanie. But all returned nothing. The vast woods devoured all hope, offering only an eerie quiet in return. Meanwhile, at the scene, the forensic team worked tirelessly, collecting the smallest clues. They found several key items that could untie the case: a pair of blood-stained gloves, a partially used bottle of bleach, and most notably, an airwalk shoebox in Sarah's room. This was especially significant when investigators matched the smaller, bloody footprints in the garage. They perfectly fit the size of the airwalk shoe. A faint glimmer of hope flashed in the darkness. Perhaps Sarah had somehow managed to escape the attacker. Or was it merely a cruel coincidence? Initially, police suspicion focused on Greg, Tina's boyfriend. Their fractured relationship, the arguments, and Tina's plans to move made Greg a possible suspect. However, thorough investigation quickly established a rock-solid alibi, proving he was not in Mount Vernon when the crime occurred. Again, the inquiry hit a dead end, and investigators had to widen their scope. Attention then turned to several other items found in the house: a large waterproof duffel and many big trash bags. These items seemed out of place among the Herrmann's belongings and were positioned strangely. Investigators asked whether the bags could be related to disposing of evidence or even bodies. Fortunately, modern technology provided a golden clue. Through footage from the Walmart surveillance camera, police identified a tall young man in a silver Toyota Yaris buying the same waterproof bags and large trash bags. This was a crucial breakthrough. Information about the silver Toyota Yaris quickly went into the system. In a short time, investigators identified the suspect, Matthew Hoffman, 30. Matthew's record was pulled. A troubling past emerged. Matthew Hoffman was not unknown to authorities. He had served 6 years for theft and arson. After his release, he lived a reclusive life, nearly severing contact with the outside world. He had the odd habit of eating squirrel meat and spent most of his time living alone in dense forests. His ex-girlfriend had accused him of violent behavior, sketching a dark, dangerous portrait. All of this painted a terrifying profile, a man capable of monstrous acts. 4 days after the mysterious disappearance, police had enough evidence to act. They covertly surrounded Matthew Hoffman's home. The situation was tense. After ensuring there would be no resistance, a task force burst inside. Matthew was found on the couch, completely unaware of the police raid. His house, as one might imagine of an eccentric recluse, was filled with dry leaves, creating a bizarre scene, as if he lived within a miniature forest. Although nothing was found on the ground floor, investigators continued a meticulous search. Their persistence paid off when they discovered a hidden door leading down to a dark basement. When they opened it and stepped inside, they were struck into silence. In the cold basement, amid piles of dry leaves and darkness, they found Sarah Herrmann, the 13-year-old girl. She was alive. Sarah's legs were tied. She was curled in a thin blanket, trembling from fear and cold. Leaves were piled around her as if to hide her or to blend her into Matthew's grotesque environment. Finding Sarah alive was a miracle, a rare bright spot in a dark case. But it also intensified fear for the fate of Tina, Cody, and Stephanie. Matthew Hoffman was immediately arrested. The initial interrogation was difficult and stalemated. He remained ominously silent, uncooperative, refusing to utter a word about what had happened. His stubborn reserve confronted investigators with an invisible wall. Hours turned to days, and Matthew remained mute, offering no explanations or confessions. Worry about the fate of the other 3 victims weighed heavier on investigators and the family. After many days of tense, patient interrogation, police realized they needed a different tactic. They offered a decisive deal. If Matthew revealed the locations of the remaining 3 victims, Tina, Stephanie, and Cody, his death sentence would be commuted to life imprisonment without parole. A tempting offer for any killer facing death. Faced with that choice, Matthew Hoffman finally agreed. He began to disclose a horrific truth, a secret buried deep in the darkness of the forest that would shock Mount Vernon to its core. The Tina Herrmann case took a turning point when Matthew Hoffman was taken into custody. He lay on the couch, utterly surprised by the police raid into his eccentric, leaf-strewn home. Immediately, Sarah, Tina's 13-year-old daughter, was found curled in a blanket under a pile of leaves in the dark basement. It was a miracle, a glimmer of hope in a nightmarish scene. However, Matthew Hoffman remained like a stone. He kept silent, not cooperating, not uttering a word about the crimes he had committed. Police faced a wall of ice. After days of patient questioning and relentless pressure, investigators resorted to a difficult bargain. If Matthew disclosed the locations of the 3 remaining victims, his death penalty would be reduced to life imprisonment. In that moment, Sarah's survival became a crucial bargaining chip, offering a small measure of justice for what had been lost. Matthew Hoffman agreed. He revealed a horrifying truth that exceeded imagination about human brutality. Matthew confessed that he had thrown the bodies of Tina, Stephanie, Cody, and their dog into a large hollow cavity inside the trunk of a rotting tree in a vast nature reserve. He had used ropes and a pulley to lower the bodies deep into the tree's hollow, a place police would never find without his exact confession. The dense forest had concealed the worst secrets. Pushed into a corner, Matthew recounted the brutal details. He said he initially broke into Tina's home intending to steal, but was unexpectedly discovered by Tina. To eliminate a witness, he killed her. Later, when Stephanie and her dog came by, he also murdered them savagely. When Tina's 2 children returned home, Matthew at first planned to kill both, but upon seeing Sarah's beautiful appearance, a sick idea formed in his mind. He imprisoned and assaulted her, keeping her as a disgusting possession in the secret basement. However, Matthew's claim that he had only intended to burglarize the home was quickly disproved. Police uncovered evidence he had purchased knives, gloves, and tape beforehand, which showed the crime had been meticulously planned, not spontaneous. Matthew Hoffman was sentenced to life without parole, a fitting punishment for a monster who had inflicted irreparable pain on many families. After the case, Tina Herrmann, with extraordinary courage, decided to share her story with the media, transforming pain into power to inspire and give hope to other women facing similar circumstances. Her miraculous survival became a symbol of resilience and the ability to overcome adversity. No sooner had the world breathed a tentative sigh of relief after the Mount Vernon horrors than another mysterious case began to unravel, this time in New Jersey, carrying a coldly calculated scenario. In the early morning hours of December 3, 2016, a driver spotted a silver car parked in the middle of the Shark River Bridge. Suspecting a possible suicide jumper, he immediately called the police. The car belonged to 19-year-old Sarah Stern, a talented, optimistic student loved by friends and neighbors for her cheerful, polite, and friendly nature. Though her mother had died of cancer 3 years earlier, Sarah had tried to live positively. Her mysterious disappearance, combined with her abandoned car, raised the question: had Sarah really taken her own life? The investigation started quickly. Police interviewed Liam McCaskey and Preston Taylor, Sarah's two closest friends she considered like brothers. Liam claimed he was the last person to see Sarah on the afternoon she vanished. He revealed that his relationship with Sarah's father had been strained recently and mentioned that Sarah had found a shoebox containing thousands of dollars and planned to go to Canada. These suspicious statements, while puzzling, matched scattered clues and led police to consider that Sarah might have run away or committed suicide. Thousands of hours of searching under the Shark River were undertaken, but no trace of Sarah was found. Her car was at the scene, but her passport and social security card remained at home. All clues seemed to lead investigators into a dead end. Over 50 days later, an unexpected figure emerged, shedding light on the case. It was Anthony, a mutual friend of Sarah and Liam. Anthony disclosed a shocking detail. A week before the disappearance, Liam had talked about a horror movie idea in which a man would hang a woman and then throw her body into the river to dispose of it. After Sarah vanished, Liam repeatedly called Anthony, warning him not to tell the police about this. Those haunting urges and warnings planted deep suspicion in Anthony's mind. With Anthony's cooperation, police planned a sting. He called and set up a meeting with Liam, all secretly recorded. During the conversation, Liam panicked and, unable to hide anymore, confessed everything. He described the crime in chilling detail. Liam said he had strangled Sarah to death and then enlisted Preston Taylor's help to dispose of the body. Together, they drove 2 cars to Shark River Bridge to stage a fake suicide scene. Then they dumped Sarah's body into the river, coldly letting the current carry away the evidence. The motive for this brutal act was nothing but money. Liam and Preston opened Sarah's safe, hoping to find tens of thousands of dollars, but found less than $10,000. Furious and disappointed by the small sum, they buried the old safe and agreed to give false statements to mislead police and construct a convincing story about Sarah's disappearance. Based on Liam's recorded confession and Preston's subsequent cooperative testimony, Liam was convicted and sentenced to life without parole. The case was closed and the perpetrator punished, but the pain and loss of Sarah's family remained. Her father, Michael, could not believe that his daughter's 2 closest friends, the people she trusted like brothers, could commit such a cold-blooded act motivated by greed. In the days after Sarah Stern's disappearance, police were still paralyzed. Despite combing the river for thousands of hours and checking every nook and cranny, all was hopeless. They even recovered Sarah's car, but her passport and social security card remained at home, making hypotheses contradictory. Family, friends, and the community clung to hope for a miracle, but deep down an icy dread grew. Over 50 days passed in despair until an unexpected ray of hope appeared from Anthony, a mutual friend of Sarah and Liam. Anthony brought shocking information that changed the course of the investigation. He revealed that a week before Sarah disappeared, Liam McCadesney, Sarah's closest friend, had told him about a horror movie script idea in which a man would hang a woman and then throw her body into a river to dispose of it. After Sarah vanished, Liam kept calling Anthony, insisting he not tell police. That unnerved Anthony, who realized Liam's horror movie idea might not be mere fiction. With courage and a sense of responsibility, Anthony cooperated with police. A meticulous sting was orchestrated. Anthony called Liam, and the conversation was secretly recorded. Trapped between fear and the arrogance of recounting his deeds, Liam could not hide the truth. He panicked and eventually, with a cold tone, admitted everything. Liam's words were like a knife slicing through the air, painting a horrifying image of that fateful night. Liam's motive was greed. Sarah had accidentally told him about a shoebox containing tens of thousands of dollars she had found and intended to use to move to Canada. Greed consumed Liam, transforming a friend into a killer. He lured Sarah to his house, strangled her, and took her life. After the atrocity, Liam called Preston Taylor, another mutual friend, to help dispose of the body. Preston, driven by money and cowardice, agreed to assist. In the dark of night, the two drove 2 cars and transported Sarah's body to the Shark River Bridge. They staged the scene to look like a suicide, parking Sarah's car on the bridge to create the illusion she had jumped into the cold river. Then, ruthlessly, they threw the body into the water, hoping the current would wash away all traces. Liam's cold, detailed confession made even seasoned detectives shudder. He recounted the crime as if narrating an ordinary story, without remorse or regret. After disposing of the body, Liam and Preston returned to Sarah's house and opened the old safe she used to store money, only to be disappointed. They found less than $10,000 rather than the tens of thousands they expected. Enraged and frustrated by the meager sum, they decided to bury the safe and fabricate false statements to mislead investigators, inventing stories about Sarah's relationship with her father and her alleged plans to run away. The audio recording of Liam's confession, together with Preston Taylor's cooperative testimony, became irrefutable evidence. In court, Liam McCadesney was sentenced to life without parole. The case was closed, but the pain and loss endured by Sarah Stern's family remained. Her father, Michael Stern, could not fathom that his daughter's 2 closest friends, those she trusted like brothers, could perpetrate such cruelty. Sarah Stern's death served as a harsh reminder of the dangers of greed and the demons that can hide behind the mask of friendship. In 2011, in Lawrenceville, Georgia, a strange video became the final evidence of a woman's presence before she vanished without a trace. In that short footage, 44-year-old Nikki Lily was talking with her husband, Matthew. Just hours after that ordinary conversation, Nikki had disappeared into thin air, leaving behind a chilling mystery. Their home was equipped with 21 surveillance cameras both inside and outside, yet terrifyingly, none captured the moment Nikki disappeared. All that remained was a partially corrupted recording, making the case even murkier and more frightening. 15 years before that fateful event, Nikki Lily had found love online with Matthew Lily. Their marriage began with romance and hope. But over time, a darker aspect of Matthew's personality emerged. He was controlling, paranoid, and the sweet beginnings of love turned into a suffocating control. Matthew went so far as to install 21 cameras throughout the house, turning the home into a surveillance prison where every gesture and word of his wife and children were watched constantly. Life under Matthew's tight control became unbearable for Alex, Nikki's daughter from a previous relationship. She had to move in with her biological father to breathe some air outside the walls of Matthew's surveillance. The relationship between Nikki and Matthew grew strained. The house often echoed with fierce arguments, voices of frustration and despair. 2 weeks after a family outing, Amanda, the daughter Nikki and Matthew shared, heard her parents arguing violently. It was a tense evening signaling something was amiss. The next morning, Amanda woke up to find her mother gone. Matthew coldly lied to the children, saying their mother had gone out on an errand. 2 days passed with no sign of Nikki. Only then did Matthew reluctantly report her missing. In his initial statements to police, Matthew provided suspicious information, deliberately pointing fingers at Nikki. He painted a picture of an unfaithful wife eager to abandon the family. His words aroused investigators' doubts about the truthfulness of his story. More than 2 weeks later, terrible news arrived. Nikki Lily's body was found in a nearby forest. She was unclothed and covered by a thick layer of leaves. The autopsy revealed a chilling detail. Nikki's feet were completely clean, indicating she had not walked into the woods on her own. This suggested she had been taken there. Worse, tests revealed a large concentration of GHB in her blood, a powerful sedative commonly known as a date rape drug, capable of causing loss of consciousness and memory gaps. Throughout the investigation, Matthew remained disturbingly calm, which increased investigators' suspicions. They found his indifferent behavior toward his wife's death unsettling. Examining his computer turned up a key discovery. Matthew had deleted dozens of video files and recordings right around the time Nikki disappeared. This was clear evidence he was trying to hide something. Fortunately, digital forensic teams managed to recover the deleted data. Hundreds of recordings and videos revealed a dark curtain over Matthew and Nikki's marriage. They not only captured heated arguments, but also exposed the manipulation and severe abuse Matthew inflicted on his wife, both physically and mentally. These pieces of evidence painted a clear portrait of an abusive, controlling husband who had turned his wife into a victim inside their own home. Although the evidence gradually surfaced, it took 4 years after the murder for Matthew Lily to be arrested. During the wait for trial, he continued his pattern of cruelty and manipulation. He forced his daughter Amanda to repeatedly listen to recordings of his arguments with Nikki preparing for trial. Manipulated by her father, Amanda took the stand as the prosecution's main witness to protect him. But the truth could not be hidden forever. Thanks to the restored videos and audio and the courageous testimony of Alex, Nikki's daughter from a previous relationship, Matthew Lily's true face was revealed. He was a sick man who wanted maximum control over his wife. When Nikki could no longer endure and decided to divorce him, Matthew could not accept it. He gave her GHB, rendered her unconscious, and then brutally killed her. Nikki's body was callously dumped in the forest in the hope it would never be found. In the end, justice was served. Matthew Lily was sentenced to life without parole for his heinous crime. After a trial filled with tears and pain, Amanda reunited with her sister Alex and their maternal family. She bravely faced the horror of her father's actions and gradually recovered from severe psychological trauma. But the pain and loss the Lily family suffered would remain, an indelible scar and a stark reminder of the destructive control and violent price of tyranny. 4 years after Nikki Lily's body was discovered, Matthew Lily was finally arrested. However, the path to justice had not been simple. Matthew continued to manipulate and conceal his crimes, especially toward his daughter. During the period awaiting trial, something even more horrifying occurred. Matthew, with a cruel sophistication, forced his biological daughter Amanda to listen repeatedly to hundreds of recordings of the arguments between him and Nikki. He continually twisted the truth, brainwashing Amanda to turn her into a key witness to support his false narrative at trial. At trial, Matthew maintained a calm demeanor, attempting to fabricate the image of an abandoned husband, a pitiable father suffering from his wife's supposed desertion. He presented Amanda as a principal witness, hoping the child, under his manipulation, would shake the jury's trust. But the secrets beneath Matthew's perfect facade could not remain hidden. Digital forensic teams worked tirelessly to recover the videos and recordings he had deleted. Those recovered materials painted a bleak picture of a suffocating marriage where Nikki endured ongoing manipulation and abuse, both physical and psychological. The recording showed Matthew not only controlling but also consistently insulting and threatening her. Alex's courageous testimony as Nikki's stepdaughter also played a crucial role. She recounted months of silently suffering under her stepfather's sick control and explained why she chose to leave the household to find peace. She confirmed Matthew's jealousy, dominance, and constant attempts to manipulate Nikki in every aspect of life. She had long watched her mother endure in silence. Combined with scientific evidence revealing extremely high levels of GHB in Nikki's blood and the state of her body, clean feet with no sign she walked into the woods, the veil came off. Clearly, Nikki had not run away or voluntarily gone into the forest. She had been drugged, murdered, and carried into the woods by Matthew. The motive was control. When Nikki decided to divorce and escape his suffocating grip, Matthew would not accept it. He drugged Nikki with GHB, killed her, and disposed of the body. After many tense and dramatic court sessions, justice prevailed. Matthew Lily was sentenced to life without parole for his gruesome crime. He paid for the cruelty and depravity that ended his wife's life. Amanda began the painful journey of confronting the truth. From a witness manipulated by the father she trusted, she gradually recognized his real face. With psychological support and reunification with her sister Alex and maternal family, Amanda began to heal. She courageously accepted the truth, however brutal, and set out to rebuild her life, finding peace with those who truly loved her. The Nikki Lily case is a brutal reminder of the hidden dangers behind the closed doors of an apparently ordinary marriage, where control and violence can destroy a person completely. It also warns how abusers can manipulate loved ones to cover their crimes. Justice was served for Nikki, but the pain and loss for her family remain. Nikki, Alex, and Amanda's story is a testament to the power of truth and courage in confronting the darkest secrets, with the hope that their voices will help other victims find a way out.